Hello everyone and welcome to the second part for the tutorial, the design part. And this month I really want to talk more about design, and I want to talk more about the process of how to create something and how to get structures and how to be able to produce bigger jobs. So this is the first approach of these types of tutorial, so it's a bit difficult to teach though, and I think there are no videos in this style, so definitely let me know what you think about that in the comments or write me directly. So I'm going through now my whole process and I hope you can learn something from there. Well, first of all, let's start where I was starting. Because I firstly did start on my sketchbook, sitting on my desk and trying to come up with some ideas what could be a general topic for this month and how could I create these types of tutorials and the topic for myself. So this is my first drawing, and I like drawing. I often do that in my sketchbook, like very little doodles, or make like a notes what I have to do and some tests and things I would have to do. So again, I'm trying to go through many or as many different applications or ideas as I can, so perhaps you can pick out the best thing which fits you. So I was coming up with the idea to create something about cold because it's cold outside, and my final name for the project is called Cold Kids. And what I wanted to do with you, I want you to create something with the same topic. So do something with the topic of cold or how to get warm and stay warm or something like that. So I would say this is a bit like a fake briefing for you, and perhaps you can do something, and I would really love you to send me your finished works. And in the second run, I plan to give you feedback on your work. And that's also, I did something when I was teaching in university. I gave everyone the same music and I said, that's going to be your topic, do whatever you want. And it was really nice to see what approach people had and how different results we had. And I did enjoy that type of teaching. So therefore, tag me and then I will record my feedback on your work, and I will post the feedback either in the end of January or in the beginning of February. Don't know yet. So this is a bit of a teaching class this month. And also what I want you to take from this month, don't do the same as I do in this tutorial here, though I think the scarves are kind of nice, but perhaps you can really come up with other ideas and I will give you feedback. Again, first things are drawings. And here you can see I thought of some hats going over on top of a head and like shrinking down, or some socks which are like flopping onto some abstract feet. And I had this pattern of scarves in motion. I still think this is very nice, but I couldn't do it. And I had some ideas with some gloves. Then I said, okay, these are my topics: gloves, beanies, and scarves. And then I was collecting all these reference boards. And by the way, again, about different techniques and styles and programs, I'm using Miro here. It's quite nice and it's free, and you can create your own artboards and you can share it with other people, and you can see where other people are looking at your work. For example, if you want to collaborate, it's nice to add everything together in here. For example, I'm doing a job and this is the current state, like we are collecting some mood boards, some ideas, some first renders, and then this is the current film. Each still is here as a frame from the animation, but yeah, this job still takes a lot of work. But going back into my kind of fake project, Miro. You can also create like Pinterest boards or use some other type of software like this. There are many out there. Well, then the second thing I did after painting in my sketchbook, I opened my iPad and made some sketches. That's something you could do. It's really nice to draw on the iPad. You can of course do that in your paper as well. And I'm not always doing that, but this time I was sitting on the sofa and really enjoyed like drawing something on there. And I came up with these kind of two ideas, because originally I thought I would do also something with editing. And also when I'm talking about that here now, he will create a audio pack for you. And I guess we will create something like 50 music packs, and you can use them for your Instagram dailies and like really spice up your renders, because like music is actually 50% of what you see. A film without music is really incredibly boring. But clients don't tend to see that. They say, yeah, do the job, and then at the very end, yeah, we have this finished music, please use that. So I would say that never works. Always try to work as close as possible with your sound designer, because again, audio is really, really important. Perhaps then we will do that in another session with a more focus on editing, because I only did one clip without any cuts, because this took me so long to create. First of all, to come up with all the ideas in the workflow, and then I had a lot of issues with cinema and creating this stuff. But again, I had these two like lines of ideas, whereas a rock with like a bit of snow on it, so the rock is kind of freezing, and then the scarves come and hug and warm everything, and the snow can melt or fall down. But I had to make it a bit simpler because time was too much. And my second idea was these beanie things, and I wanted to do something with the hats. And going back into my board here, that's where I started to collect different things, and I thought this would be a nice idea with these tags, if there could be some animation with them. And I like this look of these beanies. The beanies were out, but I really love the graphical approach to these gloves, like where you can add typography. But the easiest one, or also really nice one, was to go with the scarves, because you can go very graphical in typography style in this work, and yeah, I liked it. So also here I had a mood where we have this line from the iPad going back into Photoshop. Here, this was, oh, not Photoshop. My hand drawing was that first idea. So here, would have been nice to have this shot with type, with all the scarves close together, and then some wiggling here, and then the action could start. Well, let's have a look at some of the scarves. Really loved the typography style, and well, two-sided would be also a really nice thing, or adding some text would be also really cool. Then I thought we could pack the scarves into something which could have been nice, or add the scarves onto like something like that. But again, simplicity, we had to cut some ideas. And I really loved this type of design, and that's where I started to create my own design. So these are a few sketches from here. And I would say it's really nice to jump from each program to program, and I would say I'm also using like everything. So jumping into Illustrator, you can see here my into InDesign. That's where I layouted my scarves and really had some quick variations. They're not the best designs, but again, overall the process took me quite a while. Then going back to my Miro board, let's zoom out and go to the iPad drawing. Sorry, to go here and on, well, you can't see that, it's in the Photoshop file. I thought it would be nice to have a little logo at the end of the animation. It's like a turned around dog with an eye, but could also be a mountain. So something cute there. And I copied that into Illustrator and quickly made some shapes out of it. Don't know, perhaps I will still use it at the end of the animation. Didn't place it there yet. Let's see where we will be heading then. So continuing with Photoshop. Just a quick thing to show here, because overall this is not the like technical how to do tutorial part. This is more like an overview, and but from time to time I can show you some quick technical stuff. For example, how I did the scarf is like I took just a random rendering from mine, converted to black and white, increased some of the curves. Then there is this filter which is called color halftone, and let's say I want the pixel a bit smaller, like 6. Let's see how it works. And then we get this nice printed kinda feeling, and well, this already looks kind of nice. But for example, you can repeat that step. For example, add some blur, just a little bit of blur, and then we could, for example, also add a noise. So I want to add a lot of noise in there, and then we repeat the process and do add the same filter again color halftone, and perhaps this time I want it to be even smaller. Yeah, I would say our image got even more abstract now. Then let's say we also want to turn it black and white, and let's give that a quick save just on the desktop because I only want to place it into my InDesign file, which we have here. These are like these kind of mock-ups to see how this could look in 3D in the render later. Let me then quickly go to my desktop and drag and drop that image into there. And then you can see how it looks. And you need to change your viewing preference. There was some display performance. Yeah, we need to go to the high performance. And then you can see how this will look. For example, we need to rotate that guy. I think there was also a shortcut in InDesign to exactly scale it down there, but I don't use InDesign that often anymore, kind of forgetting. But yeah, I would say this looks quite nice. Some pattern in there, some gray values, and then add some colorful type on there or something, whatever you want. So that's cool. Then I would have to go back into Photoshop and create a new texture, and therefore I just quickly created one, and I made a 4K texture, so 4096. And then I created this file, pasted my Photoshop file in there, and I used the type from InDesign, just copied it over there. And then to quickly show you how my textures look. So these are some of my textures, and the scarf is like cut it like this. So with this one textures, I could create several looks from the scarf by just scaling or repositioning the image itself, which was quite handy and nice. Then as a next thing, I thought, yeah, it would be nice to have some reference in here for the stone. And I was checking Megascan to go the easy way. And I also found one rock, which was quite nice. And I guess it was this one. Cool. Then like my overall thoughts and ideas here were done. Then I made some like R&D, and well, let's first of all click through all of my files here and see if I missed something. No, I think that's fine, but I created some more tests. Here is an animation, like a first R&D test for the head falling onto like an object. This could be the beanies. I think this has some potential and it looks kind of funny, but perhaps it will come in the future. Then let me see what else did I made some other tests for the tutorial, but this was an very early stage and it's not that topic anymore. So perhaps this will come also at one point. And yeah. So then the R&D style for the scarf started. So starting from test number 1. In my first file, I just quickly created a rock by displacing a sphere, and I added a very low poly scarf to see how quickly the whole system runs and to find like a sweet spot from performance. And the very low one was really fast, and that's why I created a higher version one, which was this one. My feedback was still very good from performance wise. That's why I took the higher one, and then I tried to add hair, and I really had problems with hair. I am also very much hoping that Cinema will make an update for hair soon, because I think the original thing is like 10 years at least old. Well, first of all, there are so many things you would have to know. If you have different render settings and you start something in here and then you're switching a render setting to something else, then the hair tag is missing. And I often had that when I was playing around for a still, and I said, yeah, now finally I want to go into animation, click here, render, and the hair didn't render. And I was always like, oh, what the fuck, why is it not rendering? It's not rendering because you have to manually then just add your hair render in here. Otherwise it won't work. But I had where was I here? My hair render was on, and I just had the weirdest behavior. So first of all, you can see the hair, and when I press play, it's gone. And then you have to click somewhere else and wait. And there it's back. And it's gone. And then also weird stuff is happening in Cinema and Redshift. If I switch to my render view and activate my IPR, everything's black. And I was like, what the fuck? I tried everything, like copying everything to a new scene. I tried another version. I tried all different settings because we have like a lot of settings here. And talking about, I have to show you that I first originally wanted to create only hair, and he's updating the render, but obviously there's nothing to see. Just a quick thing. For example, if I turn off the hair renderer, everything's back in there. So turning the hair renderer back, everything's black. Super weird. And I think this is a bug. I think you cannot use edge selection in the combination with Redshift. Or also Cinema makes this weird stuff. So this stuff doesn't work, which would have been nice to just add the hair at the very bottom of the scarf, like actually it is in real life. So then I thought, fuck it, it's not gonna work. And also there's another issue. I created the hair, and then you have to, let me quickly into your guides, and then you can choose into grows. You can choose a direction. Normally it's set to normal. Let's go back to frame 0, and it's all again hidden. And then you have to reroute and regrow. That's mostly giving everything back. That's a very good thing to know, these two buttons, if you're lost. So everything is pointing up now. But I didn't want to point everything up. I did want to point it to the side, which is possible into direction, but you can only choose one direction, only Z, without plus or minus. So therefore, everything is always pointing to the left. And I tried to apply different hairs to this side and this side, but I couldn't manage to get the hair out of the object itself here. But yeah, again, at this point, I was still struggling with the main technique because my selection tech didn't work. Then I said, fuck it, hair is so crappy and old, let's do it without hair. And I will have to switch into, that's my final version. We will have to go back into version number 2. Then in version number 2, I thought, yeah, okay, I'll just do it with soft bodies here. And I created the thing with a symmetry object. I randomly did cut off these things. And actually this works really well. And also the soft body dynamics are really doing good, especially with this part, even though there's quite some geometry. And also you can see I did make a very thin cutting line here. And that was because, I will show you why. Let's quickly press play, and you can see. So I just buffered a few frames. It's not the fastest thing, but it's surprisingly fast for what's doing there. And first of all, I have the scars in a cloner, and the cloner itself needs to be in the surface, cloth surface. Because if it's the other way around, if you put the scarf into the cloth surface and that into the cloner, somehow it doesn't work. So that was also a bummer, which I had to find out. And also, for example, if I turn the cloth surface on and I continue playing, it looks like nothing is doing, or it's like hanging or lagging. Well, actually now it's doing. But when I was playing it from frame 0, it didn't update, so you have to play everything or cache everything, and then at the very end you have to adjust or to reactivate your cloth surface. Then let me quickly switch into my Redshift render view, see what we got there. Also, you can see in the meantime I opened my Substance Bridge and downloaded this stone and placed him in field, and I was also already playing a little bit with the light. So let's go a bit closer. And I was really unhappy with these things. Well, first of all, you can see what happens if I turn off the cloth. If I turn off the subdivisions from the cloth surface, we get these rounded thing here, and by adding the cut here, we add more geometry and the rounding was better. Otherwise, this was really smoothed out. And I gave everything like 1 or 2 subdivisions to keep it a bit more cloth-like. So I will also turn on the dome light a bit more so we can see better what's happening in here. And well, you can see the Redshift tag has like 1 tessellation, so 1 subdivision, and the surface cloner has now 1. And I added some thickness. So that was that, and I was still like very unhappy with this result. And I kicked that. Okay, that's, well, I had another version from this type where I even cranked up the resolution here, and the feedback was still quite okay, but I didn't like the result. So I thought I would go back to adding hair and try to figure out what to do and what we can do. And let me see what we got here. What was the problem there? Ah yeah, the hair is still hidden, but you can see there's a wind in here, and I tried to create 2 different hair materials. Let's go back into this view. And I tried to, like when you can see they're all facing to the left, I tried to have the wind only affect the hair on the right. So the hair on the left is excluded, and the wind is blowing very strong in the hope that the hair would flip to the other side and that I would also get these straight lines. But I think it didn't work. Well, it did something. You can see the hair is a little bit upbending, but it didn't work. And also in this version, I fixed another thing, which was the issue with the selection tag. I made a polygon selection, a very thin cut at the end, and there where we distribute the hair. So it's not perfect because sometimes the hair is looking up and down, but that was the best I could get. And also in this version, somehow my mouse cursor is broken. So it's going in the opposite direction as it should. So that's why number 3 was gone. And, oh damn it, I have to go in number 4. And number 4, I think, has already most of the stuff. So we have the scarf, and at the end there is hair, and there are 2 different kinds of hair. And I also had to do that because I didn't find a way how to like randomly distribute black and white hairs in there. Somehow couldn't do it. And at this point I was really like playing around with different shaders and just tweaking everything and trying to compare everything, like how to tweak that. And then at the version number 5, you can see that everything is already cached, but something was not there yet. Let's see, what was the issue? Don't know, perhaps I just made a version up. Then a few words to the final version. So my PC really crashed very badly, and I have the feeling that when I'm rendering with deformation blur, and we have a lot of deformation blur, my PC crashes. Like it really freezes and jumps into BIOS. I don't know what's happening there. So I guess everyone has issues. Also, another thing, when I'm going back to the animation, you can see that the animation itself is really kind of quick. So let's go back into my edit. And I kind of had to do that because still there were so many issues with the hair. And you can see that when I go like with frame by frame. Also, but which is quite nice, the motion blur is really hiding a lot of the errors. And I think if you play it in this like speed, you won't notice any of that. But let me go into my render folder and I will go into my animation. And let's have a look at a few frames. Well, first of all, talking of frames, The first frame, wait, no, the first frame has motion blur. No, that's all right. So you can see, I don't know why, but the last two frames don't have the scarf anymore. Very often, the last frame is like really fucked up. Don't know why, but let's have a look here and some of the issues. Well, because here you can see one issue, and yeah, overall, well, you can see in my file that every object has a collider, hair collider tag, but there is no like option to increase the substeps there or the collision margin or anything like that, and the hair often moves through the stone in this case, so the collider surface, and also all the objects are, it's so random. Like for example, you can see here the hair is going through this object, and definitely here's some weird intersecting hair happening, and there's some weirdness happening. Here's some weirdness, and there's some intersection problems. And I did already crank up my subframes for the general dynamic, but yeah, I don't know if I think Cinema just can't do that, and it would be really nice to integrate the hair system into like a overall or into one dynamic system, so that soft bodies recognize hair and normal collider tags recognize hair, and this is like one robust system. Really hoping for that in the next or hopefully soon version. But yeah, we will probably get some fake Houdini in the next ones. Let's hope for the best. Well, then talking about animation, often I would say design is very connected to the technical part, or the other way around. The technical part is connected to the design part, because often I can't create what I want. Sometimes I have the option to hire someone else who's better, or a Houdini artist, and then he can sometimes create what I want. But often I'm stuck between the balance between what can I do and what can the software do, and what's my idea and what's my design approach. So my overall thought was to get these kind of scarves to move in slower and slowly wrap around the stone, but there were just too many issues and you could all see them. For example, you can see here some colliding through everything, and yeah, so again, design and technical part is always working hand in hand. And that's also why I think R&D is very important, like your research and development. You come up with ideas like design-wise, and you come up with ideas technical-wise, and then at the end, it's just the most difficult work to match or combine these two together in something nice and beautiful. And I think this design is really nice. And also one point here, talking again about the music, you will have the music, I don't have the music yet, Jürgen is still working on that. So perhaps you can give yourself like audio points where you want to add an action. Probably Jürgen will add his action onto my vision, which is normally more easy for a sound designer to add, like really cutting points or something, and then the other way around. But yeah, I want you to work this way. And continuing with my process. So then I managed to render everything in there. I loaded my whole project into my render queue, and I had to reduce the motion blur because everything was so quick and it was so blurry. So I reduced the blur by 1 point. And I also increased my adaptive error threshold, so the quality is a bit better, because the frame was rendering quite quickly and I rendered in this resolution. The only thing which took quite a while was to load each frame, because all the calculation of the hair and the soft body. Well, then after I managed to render everything, I have a PNG sequence. In this case, well, EXR is kind of better actually. should really switch to that. But I still have the habit of PNGs because I did work a very long time in Adobe Premiere, and Premiere really sucks in playing EXR. And well, actually, really Adobe kind of failed with Premiere. It got worse and worse with each version, and for me, in the very end, it couldn't play back PNGs in real time. And I'm really sitting on a very powerful PC and was like, what the fuck? Even like free video player can play PNGs in real time. So that's when I switched to DaVinci, mostly because of this error. But I really think the switch was nice. You had to get a bit in the program. It's a bit different, but it's super robust, stable. It's for free, which is crazy. You can use nearly everything which you need in the free version, and the color correction is nice, and you have the audio in here, and yeah, really super happy about me being able to make the switch. So then I would load my PNG sequence in here, and I created a timeline, just quickly playing that again. And then I was also quickly adding some color adjustment, and actually there I added quite some color adjustment, but I think this might be another tutorial or another time. But the cool thing is here, for example, in DaVinci, you can quickly toggle on and off your color correction, and you can see what I did there, and I think it's really helping to improve my rendering. It's doing a lot. Then we are nearly finishing up with our process, so then you go to deliver, and for now I had this high setting, and I think this kind of nice. You can also go for the best for these short clips, because Instagram will anyway down compromise everything, and I always would render in a way higher bitrate than they are saying you should be, because their compression sucks. So rendering everything out and waiting for Jürgen for the sound. And yeah, perhaps I should do the funny logo at the end. So this was a bit of my process. I'm really sad that I failed to record the whole process, because it was like, I don't know, 6 hours of screen capture, and yeah, all crap. And also overall, this whole process really took long for me. I think I worked nearly 2 days on the thing, or let's say 1.5 days, because of all the interruption you get at home with your everything. So and I had to debug a lot. Then let's wrap this up. Well, do your work to the topic from Cold Kids, tag me or send the video, and I will give you feedback. So I really hope this kind of tutorial did teach you something, and I wish you a wonderful January and enjoy, and hear you soon. Bye bye.